The day of Hope and Liam's wedding was meant to be a redemption, a final attempt to rewrite years of heartbreak into something pure. The Forrester estate had been transformed into a vision of serenity, pale roses draping the archway, soft music floating through the air, the afternoon sun spilling golden light across the garden where generations of promises had been made and broken. For once, everyone wanted to believe that this ceremony could be the miracle that restored faith, not just in love, but in the fragile illusion of peace that Los Angeles's most powerful families had long tried to preserve. The Spencers, the Forresters, and the Logans gathered together under one roof, an impossible truce stitched together by hope and desperation. And yet, beneath the lace and laughter, there lingered a tension so palpable it seemed to hum beneath every polite smile. It was as though the entire city had been holding its breath, waiting for something to crack. Hope had never looked more radiant, yet her eyes betrayed a quiet anxiety, as if she could sense that destiny itself was conspiring to test her. She had fought for this moment, to rebuild her life after the chaos of betrayal and loss, to choose Liam once more despite every warning the universe had whispered. She wanted to believe that love could still be sacred. But behind her calm grace, her heart trembled with unspoken doubts. She had dreamed of a wedding that would silence the past, but deep down she knew that the past never stayed buried in Los Angeles. Not here, not among people whose lives were stitched together by secrets and lies. Liam stood at the altar, polished and composed, his smile too perfect, his vows rehearsed to conceal the turmoil beneath. He was the picture of a man who had everything, a loyal father, a devoted partner, a respected name. Yet in the quiet corners of his conscience, he still carried ghosts. The choices he made, the hearts he broke, the compromises that carved him into the man he became, all waited, silent and heavy, like witnesses to a truth he could not escape. Bill watched from the front row, a figure of power and contradiction. His sharp suit and confident posture hid the unease that gnawed at him. This was supposed to be a new chapter, his chance to stand as patriarch, protector, redeemer. Beside him sat Katie, still fragile from her near-fatal heart attack weeks earlier, her hand resting lightly over his. She wanted to believe that the worst was behind them, that Luna's shadow had finally been erased from their lives. But the look in Bill's eyes, alert, scanning, haunted, told her otherwise. He had spent years learning that no fortress was impenetrable, no sin truly forgotten. Around them, the gathering was a portrait of uneasy alliances. Deacon and Taylor, seated side by side, exchanged brief, loaded glances that no one was supposed to notice. Their quiet affair, born of loneliness, secrecy, and mutual guilt, was the kind of truth that could detonate everything if it ever came to light. Finn stood beside Steffi, both trying to appear united, though recent betrayals had fractured the foundation of their marriage. Sheila lingered near the back, uninvited but impossible to ignore, her presence like a dark omen that no one dared confront directly. Even Electra and Will, the new generation of Spencers, whispered nervously, sensing that beneath the beautiful facade, something monstrous was waiting to emerge. The ceremony began with practiced perfection. The officiant's voice carried over the garden, measured and serene, as Hope walked down the aisle. The music swelled. The guests rose. Every pair of eyes focused on the couple who had spent years circling each other through love, loss, and forgiveness. But as Hope reached the altar and took Liam's hand, the wind shifted, a subtle chill, almost imperceptible, but undeniable. Somewhere in the distance, a car engine roared and then fell silent. And then came the scream. It wasn't loud at first, just a single cry, sharp enough to slice through the calm. The crowd turned, confusion spreading like wildfire. From beyond the gates of the estate, a figure emerged, disheveled, limping, draped in tattered white. Luna. The same Luna who had vanished from custody days earlier, whose escape had ignited a city-wide manhunt. Her prison gown hung in shreds, streaked with dirt and blood, and in her trembling hand she clutched a bundle of papers, folded and stained. Her eyes, once bright with defiance, now burned with madness and triumph. Gasps rippled through the guests. Guards rushed forward, but Bill's voice thundered above them all. Stop. For a moment, no one moved. Luna took another step, the heels of her torn shoes scraping against the marble walkway. Her voice, when it came, was cracked and trembling but unmistakably clear. You think you can bury me? She spat, raising the papers high. You think your money and lies can erase what you've done? Katie's face drained of color. Hope froze at the altar, her bouquet trembling in her hands. Deacon stood, his pulse hammering, realizing too late that the web he had helped spin was unraveling before everyone's eyes. Luna threw the papers into the air. They scattered like dying birds, photographs, letters, documents. The wind carried them through the crowd, and one by one, people began to read. A murmur rose, disbelief, horror, shame. Among the evidence were photos of Luna with Bill, proof of their affair from years earlier, showing how he had used her for information and then discarded her when she became inconvenient. There were emails between Deacon and Taylor, their secret exchanges laid bare. And worse, there were birth certificates, falsified agreements, signed documents that hinted at a far darker secret involving Beth, Hope, and Liam's daughter, a cover-up that could destroy both families forever. Luna's voice rose above the chaos. You wanted a wedding, she shouted. Here it is, the funeral for your lies. Sheila smirked, half in awe of the spectacle, half disgusted that someone had beaten her at her own game. Steffi grabbed Finn's arm, her mind racing. If Luna had proof of Beth's real parentage, then everything about Hope's life was about to collapse. Deacon's eyes darted toward Taylor, who stood frozen, her lips parted in shock. Every secret they had tried to hide was now fluttering in the air for the world to see. Bill lunged forward, ordering the guards to seize Luna, but she stepped back, raising a gun she had hidden beneath her torn gown. The sight of the weapon silenced the crowd. The world seemed to stop breathing. Her hand shook, but her eyes were steady. No one moves, she said. Not until I finish. Katie clutched her chest. The sight of Luna with that gun, the same woman who had nearly ended her life weeks ago, sent a wave of panic through her fragile body. Bill reached for her, but Luna swung the gun toward him. You ruined me, she hissed. You took everything. And now you'll watch it all burn. Hope stepped forward, her voice trembling but firm. Luna, please. But Luna's gaze turned to her, cold and merciless. Don't pretend innocence, Hope. You live in a house built on the bodies of others. You think your happiness doesn't cost anyone anything? You're all the same. The tension became unbearable. The guests shifted, torn between fear and disbelief. Deacon moved subtly, trying to edge closer, but Luna caught the motion and cocked the gun. Don't, she warned. I'll shoot whoever tries to be a hero. And then, in one shattering instant, the inevitable happened. A gunshot ripped through the air. The echo ricocheted off the marble, the flowers, the stunned silence of 100 witnesses. Birds scattered into the sky. Someone screamed. Another body fell. But no one could tell who had pulled the trigger or who had been hit. Chaos erupted. Guests ducked, screaming, running for cover. The officiant dropped his script. Tables overturned. The delicate perfection of the ceremony disintegrated into a nightmare. Bill grabbed Katie and pulled her to the ground, shielding her with his body. Deacon rushed forward toward Luna, only to see her stumble, her gun clattering to the ground. Blood spattered across the white aisle, the same path that Hope had walked moments ago toward what was supposed to be her new beginning. When the dust settled, Luna lay motionless, but so did another figure, one near the altar. No one dared move at first. The sound of sobbing broke the silence, followed by shouts for help. Finn rushed to check pulses, his doctor's instincts taking over even as fear clouded his mind. Hope dropped to her knees, her wedding gown streaked with crimson. She screamed Liam's name, but it wasn't clear if he was the one who had fallen or the one who had fired. The screen faded to black. By morning, Los Angeles was no longer talking about a wedding. It was talking about a scandal so explosive it could destroy the city's most powerful dynasties. News outlets replayed shaky footage from panicked guests, piecing together the fragments of that night. Reporters camped outside the hospital where multiple victims were being treated. Police sealed off the Forrester estate as a crime scene. Speculation spread like wildfire. Who had died? Who had fired the shot? And what exactly had Luna revealed before she fell? Inside the sterile corridors of the hospital, the survivors faced their own private hells. Bill sat outside Katie's room, his hands stained with blood, not hers, but someone's. He didn't know whose anymore. The events blurred together in his mind, the scream, the gun, the impact. He replayed it again and again, trying to remember where the bullet had gone, but all he could hear was Luna's voice echoing. "You'll watch it all burn." Deacon was taken into questioning almost immediately. The evidence Luna had brought exposed his secret relationship with Taylor, and now the police wanted to know if he had any involvement in her escape. Taylor herself sat in silence in another room, her composure unraveling. The woman who had once built her reputation on integrity now faced exposure that could end her career, her relationships, her entire life's work. Hope refused to leave the hospital. She stayed near the emergency wing where the wounded had been taken, her wedding gown still wrinkled and blood-stained. She had no idea whether Liam was alive. Every time the door opened, her heart stopped. Her entire future, everything she thought she had secured by choosing love again, was suspended in uncertainty. And then came the revelation. Luna was not dead. She had been shot, but not fatally. The bullet had grazed her shoulder. She was conscious, handcuffed to a hospital bed, her voice hoarse, but her mind sharp. When detectives questioned her, she smiled faintly and whispered, "You think this was about revenge?"
No.
It was about truth. What she revealed next sent shockwaves through every family in Los Angeles. The documents she had brought weren't just proof of personal betrayals, they were fragments of a much larger conspiracy. Years earlier, during a crisis at the Forrester Foundation, a secret deal had been struck involving Bill, Taylor, and Deacon. Money had changed hands. Identities had been altered. A baby, Beth, had been declared dead to protect someone else's reputation. Luna had been there, a silent witness, used by Bill to keep others quiet. But she had kept copies, evidence that could tear down every illusion of decency left among them. Detectives seized the documents, but rumors spread faster than facts. Social media exploded. Hashtags about the wedding massacre and Luna's revenge trended within hours. Talk shows debated the morality of the powerful. Fans of the Forrester and Spencer empires speculated endlessly. Was Luna a victim or a villain? Did Liam shoot her in self-defense? Or did someone else pull the trigger to silence her before she could reveal everything? Inside her hospital room, Luna asked for one visitor, Bill. When he entered, she looked at him with a strange tenderness, as if pitying the man who had once commanded her obedience. "You made me your secret," she said weakly. "Now I've made you mine." Bill said nothing. For the first time in his life, he had no defense, no words to twist the truth into something manageable. Luna smiled faintly, closed her eyes, and whispered, "It's your turn to feel powerless." Outside, Katie watched through the glass, trembling. She wanted to hate Luna, but part of her understood. Power had always come at someone else's expense. Maybe Luna was only doing what no one else had the courage to, tearing down the illusion. Days passed, and the question of who fired the gun became the obsession of the city. Every suspect had motive. Bill, to silence Luna. Deacon, to protect Taylor. Sheila, to create chaos. Even Hope, desperate to protect the life she thought she was about to begin. But as the investigation deepened, contradictions emerged. The trajectory of the bullet, the angle of the wound, none of it aligned neatly. It was as if fate itself had pulled the trigger, as though the shot had been meant for everyone and no one at once. When Liam finally awoke in the hospital, alive but gravely injured, he remembered only fragments. Luna's scream, the flash of the gun,
A push.
and then darkness. He didn't know who saved him or who tried to kill him. Hope sat by his side, her face pale, her wedding ring stained with dried blood. "We'll get through this," she whispered, though her voice shook with doubt. Somewhere deep inside, she wondered if this was the universe's answer, that love built on secrets was destined to end in blood. Meanwhile, Steffi and Finn's marriage began to fracture under the weight of suspicion. Sheila, ever the opportunist, began spinning her own version of events to the press, painting herself as a witness to injustice, blaming everyone but herself. Deacon vanished for 2 days, his bar left unattended, until he resurfaced with a lawyer and a statement denying all involvement. Taylor withdrew from public view entirely, leaving only rumors and unanswered calls. By the end of the week, the Forster estate remained sealed, the once beautiful wedding venue now a haunting reminder of everything that had collapsed. The aisle, still stained with blood, was photographed endlessly, an image of innocence lost. The tabloids dubbed it the night the truth got married. Bill sat alone in his office, staring at the city skyline. For the first time, he felt old. Not in body, but in soul. Everything he had built, the empire, the name, the illusion of control, had turned to ash in a single night. He had always believed that power could shield him from consequence, that as long as he kept moving forward, the past could never catch him. But now he understood. The past never disappears. It waits, patient and hungry, for the right moment to strike. Katie joined him quietly, her hand resting on his shoulder. "It's over," she whispered. But they both knew it wasn't. The shot had been fired, but the war had only begun. Luna's truth had detonated a bomb that would keep echoing through their lives, through every family connected to them. In the weeks that followed, the city continued to unravel. Friendships collapsed under the weight of suspicion. Alliances shifted. Secrets emerged from the ashes like ghosts refusing to rest. And somewhere in a guarded hospital room, Luna smiled to herself, her body healing, her mission complete. She had exposed them all, the powerful, the hypocritical, the untouchable. She had turned their wedding into a reckoning. And as Los Angeles slept uneasily beneath its glittering skyline, one truth remained: love, in this city, was never pure. It was a currency, a weapon, a mask. And when masks fall, all that's left is the chaos beneath, the chaos that had finally come to claim them all.
Oh,